Check this out. Dozens arrested, carried away in handcuffs after protest in Beverly Hills.
Oh, no. Beverly Hills, huh?
Yeah, because they're coming for the suburbs. They're coming for your homes. That's like the St. Louis couple. I think the organizers know they want you to feel unsafe in your house. Mm-hmm. They want you to bend your knees, to get on your knees and beg.
Yep.
You know, the St. Louis couple actually published a letter, according to one of the local journalists, supporting the protests and blaming white people. I kid you not, literally blaming white people.
That's, I mean, I don't know what, I don't know who they saw that yelled at them and made them fear for their lives.
Come on.
I don't know. Okay.
You ever see that video, 10 hours of walking in New York as a woman?
Yeah. Totally doctored.
Do you know about the crazy controversy that erupted afterwards about racism?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was asked, why is it that everybody in the video hollering at women is black? And then he was like, oh, actually, I edited out all the white people. I kid you not. That's what he said.
Seriously?
Yeah, he edited the white people out.
Of course.
Doesn't look good.
Doesn't look good. And for what reason? I don't know exactly what he said his reasoning was, but this is these people are con artists, man. It's a gimmick. It's a ploy. And I often tell people, like on the left, my friends, like not super politically active ones, who do you think benefits the most from everything that's happening right now?
Corporations.
White people.
Okay.
So who's leading these protests?
See, white people as a statement, I don't like that. I don't appreciate that because I mean I'm a white person and I'm not gaining anything from this stuff. This is making America burn down. I don't like it.
Well, it's like white
corporations,
white identitarianism.
It's the people who are in charge of everything. Sure, maybe.
If you say that it's racist to have minority mascots, and you get rid of all these minority mascots, but we mentioned this before, like Mr. Clean's fine. And he's like a bald white dude.
Yeah, I think those are ridiculous. Uncle Ben's rice was awesome. I would see Uncle Ben's face and I'd be like, wholesome rice. I'm going to get some of that because I know it's a good product.
And so
it's like, what does that have to do with race?
So I'll put it this way. White
pleasant-looking man
are benefiting the most from everything the left is doing.
Okay, sure. And left supremacists.
No.
They're benefiting. What are you talking about?
It depends on what happens in November for sure. Because the argument is that the riots are going to make the silent majority vote for the right. And you're going to get more nationalistic, right-wing. I'm not saying Trump is a white supremacist or anything like that. I'm saying it's not benefiting the left. It's going to potentially help Trump get reelected. So when you look at what the left is actually engaging in, the end result is a benefit for white supremacists. And that's what horrifies me the most. Because you look at that video where the 10 hours of walking through New York as a woman.
Yeah.
What does the guy do? For whatever reason, he edits the white people out.
I don't get it.
Yeah, because these people, in my opinion, are white supremacists. Or at least they have a backwards ideology where they don't realize how, what they're doing is like maybe they're being useful idiots. I have no idea.
This whole catcalling thing in itself is stupid because it's like, what happened? Before there was Tinder, what did you do when you saw an attractive person? Hey, I find you attractive. Can I speak to you? No.
Well, so
I mean, sure, there's different levels of, and there's a line that suddenly you're gross, and you don't have to cross that line at all, but that's how people used to get together. But the line really, I find you attractive.
The line really is if you personally are attractive.
Yep. It's
true. Is that it?
The line changes.
If you're attractive,
it's a fact.
you can catcall. If you're not, you're gross and
in varying ways.
Disgusting.
So if you're like if you're 6'3", tall, dark, and handsome, chiseled, ripped, deep blue eyes. That guy.
So me, for example.
you could probably say some you could probably say some pretty messed up things to women, and they'd be into it.
They did that on Tinder. They didn't experiment, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, oh yeah.
Oh my goodness! Didn't we do an episode on this?
I
thought we did. We talked about this in our earlier episode, early episodes, and it was bad.
But speaking specifically about physical world and catcalling.
Yeah.
If you are a 45-year-old overweight short guy with your belly hanging out while you're sitting at work and you're like, "Hey girl, what up?" They're gonna be like, "Oh no, thank you." But if you're,
I thought dad bods are in right now because it shows you're fiscally comfortable.
Oh, okay. If you're
used to be.
If you're a fit, listen. In that video, this is where the scale of like absurdity starts coming in, where they start saying everything is bad. Mm-hmm. So like masculinity is a good thing. Toxic masculinity, fine, but now everything masculine is toxic.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is what happens with catcalling, right? You have in that video a guy being like, "How's it going?"
Right.
And they're like, "How dare you?"
Goodness sakes, I am so offended. You
Yeah,
asked
she
me
gets
how
mad.
I am.
Yep.
It's like
One guy's like, have a nice day,
yeah.
ma'am. So yeah, like you're right. Like, how are you supposed to meet somebody before Tinder? You'd be walking down the street, you might see a beautiful woman, you'd be like, pardon me, miss. My name's Tim. Nice to meet you.
That is literally how I met my wife. I'm not joking at all. I met her. I was working at a store. She came in, and I was like, hello. We talked for 2 hours in the store. It like, I was clearly into her. She was clearly into me. It matched, and that's what happened. Boom.
Boom, now you're married.
But it's true.
Just like that. Like they walked out of the store, they went to Vegas.
Yep.
Got married.
Yep.
Magic.
Exactly.
Perfect.
No, but it's like there needs to be some sort of, man, we need thicker skin. What happened to all our the being
It's fake outrage, man. Come on.
It's fake outrage.
Like in that video, and someone says like,
come on.
have a nice day, ma'am. Like, how dare you?
It's like, are you just being upset because you're looking for things to be upset about? Yes, Lydia agrees.
Yeah, I think
Of course.
so. A lot of the time.
It's boredom.
Yep.
It's boredom. I think it has to do with people wanting to feel powerful.
Yep.
And that's why I can't remember
or just simply having a purpose and you know, going online and having a lot of people go, I'm with you. I'm on your side here. How dare all these people? And then all of a sudden, boom, they have, you know,
it's a cult recruiting technique.
A cult recruiting technique. That's
That's
spot on.
It's called
man.
love bombing. They surround you and they hug you and they love you
Yep.
and they make you feel validated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what video game this was. Maybe you've played it, where the difficulty settings are like, it's like normal, hard, very hard, easy, and I had a hard day at work and just want to feel powerful.
Oh no.
I kid you
dangerous.
not. It's like I can't remember which game this was. Maybe you guys listening might know what I'm talking about. It's something like that.
Oh my goodness.
No. That's fine. It's like you want to play a game where you can just be the demigod with, you know, laser beam eyes.
Yeah.
And you go around and you like, I played GTA and I put on the cheat codes and I jump super high and I punch people and it's like you just play GTA. It's fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's just you go around riding your dirt bike and jumping in the air and crashing. Sometimes people just want to play games so they can feel powerful.
That's a good point.
What happens when people don't have that outlet and they feel powerless? It's like, you know how there's a trope about the bully at school is actually being abused by his dad?
Yeah.
Like
sure.
the bully will be picking on some kid, and then he goes home. It turns out his dad's picking on him, and so he redirects
He's
his
taking
anger.
it out. Yeah.
That's what everyone is doing.
You're right.
They're at home. They're powerless. Everything sucks. They feel miserable. They're purposeless, even though life is better than ever.
Yep.
And so they take it out on you.
Well, they don't have to work for the things that used to be hard in life. You know, nowadays, the hardships that we deal with, you know, is like putting enough. Well, I mean, work. You have to work for food, but it's like, what are
Barely.
the hardships? Or we're worried about what people say about us online. People are banning for like, that person said something that really hurts me to the core because 4 generations ago this happened to me, and it's like, I mean, that you could apply that to anything. Anyone can get upset.
Think about so Reddit is banning a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
Think about what that site's going to be like when they just keep banning everyone who's offended by anything. You are allowed to say the word "the."
Well, this is what
Every post,
I'm wondering,
every
like,
comment.
who goes there anymore? You know, I was actually shocked to find Reddit was so prevalent still, and I don't think that's going to last very much longer. Because,
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, Facebook even, you know, it's like over almost 1,200 comments. Over 1,000 of them said no of my tweet asking if Facebook got deleted, would you care? Would you be upset?
I wouldn't.
Everyone was like, no.
No way.
I go on Facebook nowadays. Half of the posts are anti-Trump stuff being regurgitated, and I like look into it, and it's all not true. It's all.
Oh man.
And I ask like, hey, where's your source?
Yeah, where'd you get
this?
this
Is my source. Didn't you not see what I
This-
just posted?
didn't
I'm
you-
like, did you read it?
It's
well,
a man.
no.
Listen,
Straight up, that's what they say to me. No, I didn't read it. I just reposted it.
I know it's true because it's a man who replied to Trump a minute after Trump tweeted. Right. Therefore, that's my source.
And this is the best part. Someone was like, you know, that's not true. I was just reading, and they're like, yes, I know, and I don't care.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
What?
Straight up.
Thank you for being honest.
So you know it's fake, and you're just using it to further your anger that you're addicted to.
We have we have a mutual friend, and
do we?
On Facebook.
I'm sure we have more than a few mutual
and
friends, Tim.
they posted something about one of the riot incidents.
Okay.
And I innocuously just gave a timeline. I didn't say they were right. I didn't say they were wrong.
Uh-huh.
I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they flipped out and started
Wow.
screeching. And I'm like, I didn't even say I disagreed with you.
I
Like,
don't
this
know
is
if we're
nuts.
mutual friends anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. These people are crazy. They're really.
I think I know who you're talking about now.
Probably. Yeah.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
I know you know what I'm talking about. And they post something, and I'm just like, so here's what happened. How dare you post facts? I'm like, is that what you're really mad about? I didn't say you were wrong. And then when people started chiming in saying this doesn't justify anything, I'm like, never said it did.
I love that.
And then I respond with, you're completely right. This guy's out of line and we should absolutely condemn this. And then all of a sudden they just like their brains explode and they're like, I'm blocking you.
That doesn't make sense.
I'm like, why are you mad at me? I don't understand. Like, what am I supposed to say to you?
It's because it's an emotional trigger. That's what happens to them. The more you lean into logic, the more easy it is to understand the truth, to say the truth. You don't have to remember fake stuff. And then, the facts support the truth, and that makes it easy to talk to people about what's actually happening. But they don't want to deal with that. That's too much. It's so much easier to just go,
I think
emotions.
I think it's
Handle
people
them.
who are unwell.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So crazy.
Yep.
It's like growing up, the trope was that it was the religious right that behaved this way.
That's because it was then.
Yeah. And now
It's not
Zealotry.
anymore. Yeah.
now it's the
Emotional intelligence. Yeah, it's
new
interesting.
cult.
I have a friend who he goes to church, and he was telling me, he's doing this outreach program, and it kind of has to do with church, but it's not. It's just held at the church. It's basically just like him and another bunch of dads get together, and all the young boys that don't have dads go, and they like talk to them and
So
just do
cool.
like a dad program. And I was like, that is so legit. Like, I'm not the most religious person myself, but like that's some seriously amazing stuff that we need to bring to communities. And it's like, why aren't we doing that? Let's bring that back.
Did I ever tell you the story about how
They're doing something right.
my opinion on Jesus changed?
I'm not sure.
I may have done it in the early months, but I think I'll rehash it just now because probably we have way more viewers and stuff. But I grew up Catholic.
Okay.
I left Catholic school at the end of 5th grade, went to public school at 6th grade. Immediately just became very atheist,
Yeah.
ish.
Punk.
I don't know if atheist is the right.
young punk Tim.
Agnostic is probably a better word, but I was totally out of all the religion stuff. And then I started becoming very angry and like arrogant about, the world. And
Okay.
look, man, I was like 17, 18, of course.
Everyone has that phase.
Yeah, I knew everything.
Everyone.
And so there's this dude in Chicago who was like moderately well known in the top tier Chicago skate crew or whatever. And I was skating at one of the parks in Chicago, and I got introduced to him. He was a cool dude. And there was very few people in the park, so we were skating. We were talking. It was me and a couple other people. And then he was like, I play music, and he was like, yeah, me too. He's like, you want to go jam or something, hang out? And I was like, yeah, dude, awesome. I'm like, and I get to hang out with these cooler, like older guys, skateboarders, like connected and affiliated. And we go to his apartment, and in his house on the wall, he's got a picture of Jesus.
Okay.
And I was like, why do you have a picture of Jesus on your wall? And he was like, I don't know, I like it. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you religious or something? And he goes, no, I don't know. I just, I thought a story about a guy who traveled around helping people was kind of cool. And I went, oh.
You got a good point, actually.
Yeah.
I think you might be right.
That's a good story.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to, because
Yeah.
it's like, you don't have to be religious. You don't have to believe everything that they say, but morally, they're doing a lot of things that make sense. It's like, what's wrong with having something that shows you how to be a good human being?
And that was it.
What happened to that?
The realization was kind of like everything that I thought the religion was irrelevant, because the only thing that mattered to this dude was that you had a story about a guy who went about helping people.
Yep.
And I'm like, if that's all he took from it, that probably made his life way better.
Yeah, probably.
And he probably helped a lot of people. And he's
True.
right.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
was a cool story.
Yeah.
I think because of the politics of everything and the church and how money was handled and stuff like that, it became a very political and corrupt thing to me. And I never actually thought about what the root of what it was supposed to be was.
Yeah.
I'm still not religious or anything, but I think, from that moment, there were some other key moments in my life where it made me like rethink things. And with that one, I was like, there are some people who are very much into reading hardline, like, here's what it says, here's what must be done.
And this is exactly what it means. No questions asked.
I think from that point on, I was like, that is a cool story.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I care to take away from any of it right now.
Mm-hmm.
That I can straight up be like, if you just tell it like this dude went around helping people, healing people, feeding people, like, you can ignore all the bad stuff and just say, let's try and be good people.
Yeah.
Let's try and help people, you know? There's some other moments too about perception and reality that I found really interesting that I think a lot of people don't understand. When I was working at O'Hare Airport, I had one of these older guys. He was a Hispanic dude, very religious guys. And he was like, one day this dude goes, "Hey, pool." And I look up, I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" I think I was playing on like Snake on my Nokia candy bar or something. He's like, classic. "You religious at all?" And I was like, "Nah." This was after, like, because now I was like 19, I think.
Okay.
And I was like, "No." I was like, "I grew up, but I'm not, you know, I don't follow anything." And then he's like, "Let me ask you some questions." We had a conversation. And the gist of it was basically, you know, he says, "What are you breathing right now?" And I was like, "Air." And he was like, yeah, but what is it? And I'm me being, you know, all smart about it. I'm like, you want to talk about the composition of air? Well, it's actually mostly nitrogen, and a small portion, around 21% or so, is oxygen, and of course carbon dioxide. And he was like, yeah, I get it, dude. You read your books, right? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, "How do you know that it's actually oxygen, nitrogen, whatever?"
Okay.
And I was like, "We learned it in science class, man. I went to school." And he's like, and you just believe what's in those books? And I was like, "Yeah, because it's science." And he was like, "All right. So you got somebody who told you read this book. That's the truth." And I was like, "Right." And he goes, "Yeah, that's what my priest said about the Bible." And I started laughing. And I'm like, "I get what you're saying, dude.
Yeah.
I hear you." His perspective was basically like, we all choose who we trust and who's giving us the hard facts.
Yeah.
Now for me, I'm like, I can actually build a computer, so I'll trust in the root of my science and stuff like that. I'll believe in the oxygen. But it's a good point about, you know, I've never seen an electron. I've never actually used an electron microscope. I've never actually tracked any of this stuff down.
Right. Supposedly there's no such thing as solids, even though this wood feels pretty solid, but technically
it's a bunch of atoms
are just
and they're
really tightly wound together.
So I'm not saying this to try and tell anybody that this proves or disproves anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just telling you this is because it's a way to understand how people's perspectives are shaped based on what they choose and who they choose to trust, and ultimately it's who you choose to trust.
Yeah.
If a dude came out of the sky floating and he gave a cell phone to you and he said, "Here's how it works. The magic of my love will transmit any of your thoughts to anyone else who has my love." You saw a dude flying, you'd be like, "Wow, okay," you know. Like if you're like a primitive or like, you know, ancient culture or whatever, and you saw this happen, you would just believe them.
Like basically what the Anunnaki are supposedly.
My love energy transmits thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
And then if you would just be like, this person clearly has some kind of power I don't understand.
Yeah, it must be true.
Well, you might not necessarily just absolutely trust them, but you'd probably believe it, right?
Yeah.
And so if you get like a PhD physicist who comes out and says, "Did you know that if you can take your hand and you can actually hit molten steel?"
Yep.
Do you know that?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, you actually can do that. Most people are going to be like, "That's crazy. You can't do that." You know what I mean?
Until they see the video of the guy doing it.
Right. So there are certain things you are willing to trust based on how you've, you know, perceived the world and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why you have, you know, I can wrap this back up into the insanity of the woke left.
Yeah.
As more and more of our media, our advertising, and our social media is dominated by this ideology, it's becoming law. It is becoming reality. And then they tell you can see racism in everything and everywhere, and people will just eat it all up. It's all they see. And it's scary because then they become rage monsters. They're always angry.
Yep.
They're always just fervent, zealous fanatics. And they go and attack people. They break into people's private property. They try to burn buildings down. Just because they choose to believe this fringe, you know, nonsense.
Yep.
Critical thinking skills, man. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify, and we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.